Well, welcome everyone. This is the newest episode of the Paranormal Misfit podcast. I am your host, Chrissy, and I'm here to talk about all things horror, macabre, paranormal, cryptids, and everything in between. So cozy up with your favorite drink in a nice little warm spot and get ready to listen along. So, I know it's been quite a few weeks, probably more like 2 months, a month, maybe. I don't know. Since my last episode. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I have been dealing with burnout really bad from work and then just trying to just navigate it all. And I started classes and then I switched degrees and then I pulled out of the classes for this semester to then take more classes for spring semester, and it's just been a big whole mess, right? And with burnout, I haven't done very well with like my mental health or my physical health or anything like that. So like I took a break from like everything, and now I'm back. so with that being said, I hope everyone's doing great. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, so let's get a move on. So oddly enough, believe it was last weekend or the weekend before, I had went out with a girlfriend of mine and we're moms. She was like, I have no one to watch scary movies with, which is true because me and her talk about this all the time. Granted, my husband will watch them with me, but sometimes you don't have people to watch certain movies with you. And I didn't know this, and this is how I know that my burnout was really bad because I'm usually really good about keeping up with the different movies that hit the streaming services and everything like that. And I didn't know, and I had been waiting to watch Thanksgiving. And she was like, Thanksgiving came on. Um, I got it on Netflix if you want to go back to my house. And I was like, hell yeah. So we go back well, actually, I take that back. I live in Florida, so just to let you know, we stop off at Publix and then we pick up all of our goodies. She's got wine at her house because me and her, for the most part, if we're going out, we have certain drinks that we like to drink. And then if we're kind of hanging out with each other, we have, we usually drink wine together. So we get everything set, we get everything settled, and me and her and we get in her back room and we're like, fuck yeah, let's go. Fuck you watching Thanksgiving. The movie was fantastic. Like, fantastic. One of I will say this, I am and I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan. I think sometimes I have an issue with too much gore. Um, and I say that like earnestly because I can handle a lot, right? But when it's overly gory or it's overly like, if we're hyper focusing too much on like a sadistic kind of thing where it's the rape of like kids, young girls, babies are getting killed, like stuff like that, I have issues, right? And I went into this completely blind. I'm not gonna lie. I completely forgot that Eli Roth was he was the director. And I'm not gonna lie, at the same time, it was surprising for me because, the opening scene, the opening, 15, 20 minutes of that movie is absolutely complete carnage. But it wasn't carnage in the way that he did like Hostel, or it wasn't so bad as in like the way he did like his other movies or stuff like that. To me, this movie was absolutely ingenious. I like the play that he did basically on capitalism and how corporate greed basically brought on fucking carnage because it's true. Granted, I don't know like how much, but like that whole scene and the basically what would be like a Walmart was insane. Insane. And it was so funny because my friend and I Once it goes to like, oh, a year later, and then you find out like the baseball player who was the girl's boyfriend disappears and doesn't tell anyone where he goes, and all of this stuff starts popping up. um we started trying to guess really early who was the killer, right? And I will watch it again so many times. It will probably be like a Thanksgiving thing for me. So, if you're not familiar with the movie, it was released in 2023, November, obviously. And it revolves around, so during Thanksgiving in Plymouth, Massachusetts, of all places, an unruly mob gathers outside a Right Mart superstore in preparation for the Black Friday sale, which technically isn't the Black Friday sale. It's actually starting on Thanksgiving Day. So you know how like corporations have gotten greedier and greedier over the years with Black Friday, and all of a sudden now it's not really Black Friday, it's more like Thanksgiving. That's where it's at. So anyways, so they kind of, and this is where I got a little confused, but whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. So we're in Plymouth, Massachusetts, right? And they're kind of playing it off like it's a small town, but it's not a small town because there are rival high schools. But when you see these high schools are fucking massive. Like, I live in a city and our high schools don't look like that. But anyways, so you got Jessica Wright, whose father is the owner of the stores, lets her, along with her boyfriend Bobby and friends Evan, Gabby, Scuba, and Yulia, inside early through the side door. And the crowd sees them, which does include some of their rival football players, because like rival teams, whatever. So rivals. And they see them go through the side door. Well, anyway, so the crowd sees this, right? Because one of the friends, and I don't remember, it's Evan, really riles up the crowd outside because he decides to stand up. He decides to gloat about it because what happens is he broke his phone while getting into a fight. With some neighboring kids. Not kids, I shouldn't say kids. With the neighboring school of the other football players, right? And so they get riled up. One of the security guards fucking bails, just runs off. And he's the bigger one out of the two. And they only had 2 security guards that night, at least from what I could tell. If you happen to be a Grey's Anatomy fan, it's McDreamy, plays the town sheriff. And so anyway, so like, and I mean like full on stampede, like how many people fucking live in this town kind of thing. They stampede through the store in a frenzy, resulting in multiple people dying gruesomely, which includes the store manager's wife, Bobby, who is the boyfriend of the girl whose dad owns the stores. His arm gets broken in the process of trying to help someone. You've got, I think there's like 1 or 2 more deaths. Believe they said there was 4 total. And so anyways, like I said, one of them moves away, ghosting the group, which is Bobby, the ex-boyfriend. I don't think he really like broke up with her, but whatever. So 1 year later, again, Bright Mart is preparing for another Black Friday sale, which isn't Black Friday, it's technically Thursday. Despite the protest of Mitch, who is the man who lost his wife, and the other residents, Bobby returns to Plymouth, which surprises Jessica's current boyfriend, Ryan, who is a complete D-bag, in my opinion. Even before she dated him, he was kind of a D-bag. And yeah, so what you see is it goes to, and this is where you kind of start trying to make the guesses, right? You go into, there's this really creepy room, and it's got the pictures of the different things that happened during that night when the carnage happened. He's marking out his targets. And oddly enough, and what I loved about this was they incorporated Instagram into this. And he tagged everybody, basically, especially the teenagers, right? Saying like, oh, here's a seat for you at the table. Oh, can't wait to see, kind of taunting them, basically. So anyways, the first person to get killed is Lizzie, who is the waitress, and I mean, she was a peach. She was peach. But she's killed by a figure wearing the John Carver mask, right? Because John Carver is supposedly one of the pilgrims. So Lizzie was present at the Black Friday sale incident, which leads police to believe that those involved in the incident are being targeted. And her part in that carnage was rough, right? Like, she was one of the first ones in the front. She was pushing through the glass. A lot of things, right? And she was initially part of the death of the store manager's wife. So you think it's the store manager, because that's what my friend and I were thinking. That's what my bestie and I were thinking, right? We're sitting there and I looked at her and I was like, oh, it's gotta be that guy. She's like, I don't know. And then she's like, well, maybe, because, that's a big loss, right? And he watched it happen right in front of him. So anyways, so Jessica aids in the investigation because they're getting Instagrams. What am I trying to say? They're getting Instagram tags as this stuff is happening, right? And with Lizzie dying, so pretty ingenious. Yeah. So she's running. She works in the diner. She's running. She thought she got away from the guy. The guy steals her keys. Killer stole her keys. And oh goodness. He grabbed her keys without her knowing. And she gets out the back, right? She gets out the back of the diner and she's running towards her car. And then all of a sudden she stops because her car turns on and it comes gunning for her, right? So she tries her best to run and jump into the dumpster. Old metal dumpster, which apparently had old metal flaps to close. Whoever's in the driver's seat and guns it for her hits her as she's trying to get into the thing. Basically, the dumpster severs her in half, and they leave the top half in the dumpster and they take her bottom half and put it at the Right Mart main location, not the store but the corporation, on top of the building, basically with their insides and everything coming down. So anyways, Jessica, the daughter, aids in the investigation to provide footage of the riot to the town sheriff, Eric Newlin. The killer Carver kills several residents in the meantime, all of whom were part of the Right Mart crowd during the riot. Evan and Gabby are soon abducted. Yulia is attacked in her home, which is just Yulia. Her dad was like a Russian mobster. That's what he sounded like and acted like. So, I mean, Carver took down that on top of the cop. So the movie is absolutely insane. So Jessica and Scuba happens to be Yulia's boyfriend, make it there, but is unable to stop Carver from disemboweling her on the table saw. And one part of Yulia and my friend and I, we were sharing memes. Carver takes, they're the metal prongs that you stick into, oh God, I'm touching my ears while I think about it, that you stick into ears of corn to be able to eat. Sticks it into her ears. Right. Well, anyways. So there's a big attempt to lure Carver out by having the Wright family participate in the Thanksgiving Day parade disguised as pilgrims. Carver publicly decapitates the mascot and sets off smoke bombs, giving him the opportunity to abduct the Wrights and Scuba in the chaos. At his hideout, he cooks Jessica's stepmother, who she didn't like, but at the same time, the lady... There's a lot of dynamics happening in there. He cooks her stepmother in the largest oven. Her name is Kathleen, alive in the oven before serving her as turkey at the dinner table, where his hostages and his victims' corpses are seated. He bludgeons Evan to death in the live stream in front of others, and Jessica and Scuba escape because the town dropout, I guess is what you want to call them. Also, kind of like if you've ever seen Dazed and Confused, kind of like the older guys that don't know how to stay away from high school, but they also don't know anything else but high school. His dad happens to own a gun shop, and he gives Jessica, sorry, there's some dust. He gives Jessica a I believe it was a ring that kept his dad alive during one of the wars that he was in. And it's a tactical ring. And what the ring does is there's a little pop out on it, and it can help cut through things. And she finds that out. She uses it, then she gives it to Scuba. And yes, so uh, Jessica and Scuba escape, and she is able to flee out of the woods to the parade warehouse, where she finds Sheriff Newland unconscious. She sees Bobby and Carver, and Bobby in the Carver, so her ex-boyfriend in the Carver costume, but he escapes. The police inform her that her surviving friends, which is Scuba and who's the other girl? Gabby, are safe, and so is her father. And in the office alone, she notices the little stickers. So I don't know if you've ever been someone that goes through the woods or anything, but the little, they're like little stickers. They're little balls that just like stick to your clothes, and they stick to like anything basically. Are stuck on because she had it stuck on her clothes. Well, come to find out, the sheriff also has them stuck on his at the bottom of the cuff of his pants. And it's funny because it plays back to a scene that he said to her earlier in the movie about how, do you remember anything? Because the simplest thing will give someone away. There's always an error that they make them away. And that's where she realizes he's the killer. So you find out that the sheriff was having an affair with the store manager's wife, and she was pregnant with his child and was going to leave said store manager for him before she was killed. And that's where his motive for becoming John Carver and doing the basically Thanksgiving Day massacre comes from, because he wanted to seek revenge on those responsible for their negligent acts at the Right Mart that night, because he was there as well. So Newland has abducted Bobby and put him in the Carver costume, intending to frame him for the murders. And to Newland's horror, it is revealed that Jessica live streamed the whole, because he was stupid enough not only to still have the stickers on his pants, but also to leave a crucial piece of evidence, which was a cell phone. And she grabbed said cell phone and started live streaming his confession. He attacks her, but Bobby intervenes. As Jessica and Bobby attempt to escape in the tow truck, he attacks them again. She shoots him with a turkey parade balloon. Oh, she shoots at the turkey parade balloon that is attached to a tank of gas, causing an explosion and supposedly engulfing the sheriff. In the end, she reunites with Ryan and Gabby and Scuba. While Bobby is taken to the hospital, authorities are unable to find the sheriff's body, leading them to believe he was incinerated in the explosion. Jessica, however, continues to have nightmares of where she is attacked by the sheriff in flames. And to put on top of that, while they're walking out and the chief for the fire department is talking to them and saying, oh, his body must have been incinerated, you see someone dressed in the full gear of a firefighter, and he's carrying an axe, but it's an old charred axe, kind of like the axe that you see in the John Carver house that they keep kind of going back to, and then they get stolen at some point, which totally forgot to cover that part, but that's there. And yeah, so like there's a little bit of an insinuation that, Eli Roth may have left it open for a sequel. I hope not, because the movie is good, is fantastic as is. Sequels to me are a hit or a miss. I did. I loved I loved this whole fucking film. It surprised me. It definitely it see, I don't know how to explain it. So it gave me a mixture of like Trick or Treat, because everyone's intertwined, right? But it also gave me the feel of like kind of like Scream, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, or God, what was the other one? Was it Urban Legends? Urban Legends. Valentine, My Bloody Valentine? I don't. The Valentine, the one with David Boreanaz, where he was a killer. Because, it's about the revenge, but it's about the people that you would actually have suspected at first for their revenge. Because wholeheartedly, like, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, no, it's the dude who lost his wife, literally washed his wife's hair, and brains get smashed in by shopping carts. And like, honestly, I would wholeheartedly recommend this. If you don't watch it at any point in time, or Halloween, if you're one of those people that only watches scary movies during the scary time. To be fair, this could be a Thanksgiving Day classic. I would watch this over and over and over again. My husband hasn't watched it yet. I plan on forcing him to watch it. It's it's open, right? In such a way that there could be a second one. Hopefully there's not. Because this is one of those movies, I think it ended on probably the most perfect note to me. Other people may say otherwise. I think that he did just enough gore that it made it so good, because, like I've said before, at least for me, too much gore turns me completely off. So when I was like, I don't know, like 20, when did The Hills Have Eyes, the reboot, came out, and my friend and I, a friend of mine, and I decided to go see it in the theater. And I can tell you right now, I lasted all of 15 minutes, because the first 15 minutes of that movie was the worst for me, and I couldn't get past it, and I left. I left. I didn't demand a refund. I didn't do any of that. I said, you can have it. I will never look at this movie again. And that movie was so just, there's things where it goes too far, and those are one of those movies. And sometimes Eli Roth does go too far. He did Hostel, which was good, but then he kept doing more Hostel, and it kept getting worse, and then it kept going further. And then he also had The Green Inferno? Or did he make a movie based around The Green Inferno? No, I think his was The Green Inferno. But there is taking it too far for me. And I feel like this is one of those he did not. He did fantastic. The storyline was great. The twist in it was good. Like, I really wasn't expecting the sheriff. I was expecting the ex-boyfriend, because, he broke his arm and he was like a star pitcher, or I was expecting the guy who lost his wife. Like, because when you first watch the movie, right, you see, can never remember his name, so I'm gonna just call him McDreamy. You see McDreamy come to a house, and he's got like a pie, and a woman opens the door, and there's like kind of like a little bit of a flirtatious vibe, but you don't really think too much into it, because then her husband comes, and then there's the big family, and they're having all the dinner or whatever, and you don't expect it to be him. Like, I was expecting anyone else but him, to be fair. But yeah, no, this movie was really surprising for me. Like, absolutely surprising. And I highly recommend it. I don't know if I want to really rate it. I don't really want to rate it. I think it's definitely one of those everyone should check out, especially if you're like me. I hate the fact that corporations have started opening up their businesses on a Thursday to not allow their employees to enjoy the holidays. I know they've scaled back just a tiny bit, but still, even Black Friday, like, I remember in the 90s with the Furbies or the Cabbage Patch Dolls, how people would fight and crush each other, and they were still doing it. I don't know if they still are doing it. I don't hear it as much, and maybe it's just not getting as much coverage. I don't know. I also tend to not avoid, but I don't really watch the news as much anymore. I kind of get it from my husband, or every once in a while I'll check it, or TikTok keeps me well updated. But yeah, I mean, I really don't know what else to say about this movie, except for I feel like everyone should watch it. It was great. I don't know what else to say. It was fantastic. Thoroughly surprised. Hope everyone else enjoys it as much as I did. And yeah, like, it's just, I think it's one of those that it was a good one. So anyways, this concludes this concludes the episode. I hope you all enjoyed everything that was shared. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. I do plan on being way more consistent now that I won't say I've overcome my burnout, but I'm definitely handling it better than I was. So yeah. So you can check this out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. This will be over on YouTube. You can connect with me on Instagram, obviously, at the Paranormal Misfit Podcast, or you can also shoot me an email, whether it's to tell me what you thought about the episode, what you would like to hear next, any type of feedback is welcomed. You can email me at the Paranormal Misfit Pod at gmail.com. And if you really enjoyed the episode or would like to support the podcast, please feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/paranormalfp. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.